least to a small degree, some stories that have fallen out of the mainstream of literature about the Revolution, and perhaps contribute a greater understanding or context to the war in the process. It's not a collection of trivia, or in any way an effort to fill in any significant number of blanks. Its purpose is to be educational and fun, while demonstrating that there was a lot more to the Revolution than Washington crossing the Delaware. Very loosely, this book shadows the chronology of the Revolution proper, which effectively began with the conclusion of the French and Indian War, 1763, gained momentum through events that included increasing taxation, the Boston Massacre, 1770, and the Boston Tea Party, 1773, and then broke into open warfare that, greatly simplified, included the battles of Lexington and Concord, April 1775, the capture of Fort Ticonderoga, May 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill and the Siege of Boston, June 1775, Washington's defeat and withdrawal from New York, August 1776, the Battle of Trenton, December 1776, Burgoyne's surrender at Saratoga and the entry of France into the war, October 1777, Howe's capture of Philadelphia and the winter at Valley Forge, 1777 and 78, the British capture of Charleston, South Carolina, and invasion of the South, 1780, and the British surrender at Yorktown, 1781. Finally, this book is told more from a storyteller's perspective than that of a seasoned historian. It goes without saying that 250-year-old events are often difficult, if not impossible, to verify. Historians correctly shy away from stories for which there is no proof. Yet many legends told over the years are equally impossible to disprove, and in reality are seldom entirely made up out of whole cloth. Yes, they will generally be improved upon with the retelling over the years, some to the point that they become a bit silly and categorically unbelievable. It's worth considering, though, that for every legend that didn't happen, there are a dozen more, far better stories that have been forgotten. The view here is that, for example, the Molly Pitcher legend, which wasn't firmed up until nearly a century after the war, is worth presenting, even if in standard form it's a bit too perfect. Molly Pitcher was the moniker awarded the loving wife who followed her husband into battle, took his place at the cannon when he fell, and carried water for parched patriots at the Battle of Monmouth. But it seems safe to say that if this legend didn't happen exactly as we have been told, something like it did. Molly Pitcher more likely is a composite of several women, including perhaps a profane, whiskey-swilling camp follower picturesquely known as Dirty Kate, who, shall we say, put a charge into a lot more than cannons, and eventually died of syphilis. So, in the retelling, we have actually made the story somewhat more heroic and somewhat less interesting. The same might be said for the war itself. It is good that we preserve our idealized creation story. All nations do. It is from this that we draw pride and inspiration. But it is equally rewarding, and more entertaining, when we dig a little deeper beneath the surface. Chapter 1. The War That Started It All. On July 26, 1764, a year after the conclusion of the French and Indian War, and just over a decade before the first shot of the American Revolution was heard the world around, a young teacher named Enoch Brown rang the bell in a one-room schoolhouse where he taught the children of Scots-Irish farmers in south-central Pennsylvania. The school was near the present-day town of Mercersburg, in a broad, fertile valley flanked by long, sleepy blue ridges. On this summer day, Brown wasn't attracting as many takers as usual, but 2 girls and 9 boys grudgingly straggled into the school and took their seats. Brown had barely started the lesson when he heard a commotion and looked up to see 4 Delaware Indians rushing the door.